Hi, good afternoon. It's Jenny Bickrow. You guys know me. I've been moderating and administrating the Oglala Lakota Tribe Cannabis page for the last few months. And today we're here to present our proposal to the council and to the people. And we are asking Jenny Lee Rooks to go over the amendments with us and educate us. So we're just here to present to the people, to the council, what we're hoping to pass for the legalization of marijuana that everybody voted on. Remember the over 80 and 70 something percent you guys voted on? So here you go, Jenny Lee. The table's all yours. Jenny Lee, you're not on mute. You're on a mute. I can't hear you.
All right. Good afternoon,
There you
everybody. This is Jenny Lee Rooks. I am running for tribal council rep in Wellness District, and see here, just checking everything. And so working on this, I'm going to share the screen with you guys as I talk. I have a presentation on the amendments that the Oglala Sioux Tribe Cannabis Group had actually presented to the tribal council. And these regulations were presented on September 7th in the Law and Order Committee meeting. And we had actually had our functioning group had a lot of people that contributed. We have Trent, Jenny Bickrow, Jeremy Fraser, and Ben Cummings. They actually had gotten together and did the petition and got the signatures to amend the Constitution, the ordinance for cannabis from our group. And these were things that we had noticed and read through the ordinance, the previous ordinance that was going to be passed. And we felt that some of them were not allowing our tribal members any interest into the investing of their own cannabis. And so we believe as a group that we would like a cannabis industry for the reservation. This would open us up to having a market, to having an actual cannabis business industry where a lot of our families can raise their own cannabis grows, cultivate, have their own investing in the lounges and dispensaries on the reservation. And this will bring an economic growth to our area. And this is one of the main businesses that we would like to maybe run with and start gaining some sort of revenue. And we all know that there is a low circulation of money on the reservation. It doesn't stay on the reservation very long. So this is what we have wanted to present at the meeting in September with the Law and Order Committee. However, that was moved. So what I would like to do is I would like to present it to all of you and to just let you know, to educate you on the whole entire cannabis ordinance that will be passed and ideas for what we wanted into the ordinance, which in reality have not even been presented. They haven't even been enacted into the ordinance. And you know, if you see the copy that is right now going to be passed, none of our amendments were even considered. So I'm going to go through here and present these ones to you. So the first thing I'd like to present is, this is the Oglala Lakota or Sioux Tribe Cannabis Regulations Group. Our mission is to help create a cannabis industry within the Oglala Lakota Sioux Tribe with 100% tribal enrolled member ownership, low startup costs, less plant count per company, and to encourage tribal member owned brands. So the chapter 3 in the ordinance that is being passed tomorrow or Wednesday is it's on licensing, and the section is 5, part J, numbers 1 and 2. We propose to erase the non-refundable fees for employees in business. And the reason why is this will ensure more tribal members are employed. This will ensure more private family-owned businesses can start up. To help encourage economic growth in all communities, more employees will be able to obtain licenses. Chapter 3 in Section 11, Parts A and B discusses the max plant count. So the max plant count is currently set at 1,800 plants to 600. So we're requesting that it be lowered to 625 plants for both Parts A and B. So Parts A and B is actually the cultivator and the processor. And so this is to ensure more facilities will be able to be built. With 625 plants maximum, many more businesses will be able to start production. This will decrease opportunities for a monopoly on the reservation. Larger facilities will take over most production than smaller production facilities. And as we now know, the tribe is the only place that has passed cannabis, has actually passed the cannabis law. We do have it coming up in the state. However, we need to think about our market here and how many people would buy into the cannabis, whether it be CBD oil or any type of product that cannabis is. So the Section 11, Part C is the plant count tier system. The original plant count system was Tier 1 is 1 to 100 plants. We propose that it be 1 to 125 plants. The Tier 2 is 101 to 200 plants. We propose 126 plants to 250 plants. Tier 3 is 201 to 300 plants. We propose Tier 3 at 251 to 375 plants. Tier 4 is 301 to 400 plants. Tier 4 we proposed is 376 to 500 plants. Tier 5 is 401 to 500 plants. We propose Tier 5 to be at 501 to 625 plants. Now, Tier 5, we ask that they make a cap of the plants for 625 plant count per business, because this the original one only caps at 500. And so we're saying that this will ensure everybody will have an equal opportunity and a competition throughout OST. Many more people will be able to have an opportunity to grow, to have those types of plants. We will basically, if we leave it open to have no cap, there can be a large investor coming in and they would basically grow and just want to overtake the market system on the reservation. Did you want to say
Generally,
anything, Trent? Yeah.
Yeah, if I could throw something in there.
Sure.
Basically, one of the biggest things about this section that concerns me is on a Tier 5, they have it set up where the Cannabis Commission can make special approval for a farm that has unlimited plants. And so what that basically does is it restricts all of the smaller farms to having small companies, but with a simple approval of the commission, they can have a very large grow. And that's what we're trying to put a cap on, is to prevent that. And with this section, I would say the scariest part is that operation to go to unlimited with approval by commission. So I just wanted to throw that one in.
I would agree. Sorry, Jenny, I'm a piggyback
you're
off of
fine.
Trent, because I've done business, and what I do in business is read contracts for my bosses. I'm a business manager to make sure that nobody, basically to look for things. And I agree, because monopolies, they want to monopolize that market, and basically they want to take over what belongs to us. Whoever wrote this could potentially allow somebody to come in that we don't know, that are not our friends, that are not our family. We have no idea who they are, and just take money from us. And so, yeah, that's a big concern for me as a business manager first. But most importantly, as a family member, if I was reading these regulations and one of my cousins or one of my relatives came to me and said, Jenny, do you want me to agree to this? And I would say, hell no, not unless you want them to steal right out of your back pocket. I mean, not unless you want them to rob you, then sure. But that's really my honest opinion, my honest critique on that portion. No,
yes,
I don't want
and that's a concern, because what we want to do is to teach our own people to have their own business, to understand how to grow the plants, cultivate process, the whole process of getting the cannabis through to sell. And if we have somebody coming in, it's going to create a monopoly, or it can create an oligopoly. We can have two separate people, 2 or 3, 4 choice people with these investors coming in and taking over the market system. And that's something that is really unhealthy to start out, especially in this in the cannabis industry.
I absolutely agree. And, you know, I want to thank any council reps that are listening to this video and took the time to watch it. And anybody that's watching this, if you can send this to your council rep, it will be, you know, helpful for them to kind of understand what our issues are with it. And, you know, just so everybody knows a little bit about me, I grew up in the cannabis industry out here in Oregon. I have relatives that live on the reservation still, and my personal investment in it is my time, and to be able to see you guys all have your own logos, you know, have your own little companies for your families, and not be having anybody tell you what to do. Because that's the thing that I love about owning my own company, is I don't have to have anybody telling me what to do, and I can speak my mind. And I feel like that you guys deserve that. And in reality, we know council reps have to be concerned about trafficking, because trafficking is what the feds are going to want to try to shut it down on. And so that's why we want small farms, because if one big farm, there's no more room for small farms, because 10,000 plants will produce enough product for the entire reservation. And that's why it's really important to have a cap on company size, because if you don't have a cap on it, then one big farm is going to produce enough for the entire res. So I mean, that's the biggest thing I'd want to say to a council rep is, yes, you got to make sure that there's only a limited amount of production, but do that in the form of very small farms, so everybody gets that, their
Trent,
own, you know.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Trent, but I have a really quick question, because for me, if I'm sitting on council or I'm in leadership, this is a question I have is, right now we're looking at laws and regulations that one doesn't have a cap on tier 5. In a normal model, in a healthy model, is that why you propose those on the other side of it? Because is that normal? Like if I were to go to Oregon, would this tier be set up? Or if I would go to Colorado, like how do I know that this is not, you get what I'm saying? Like this is
Okay, so in Oregon, we have a tier system that basically puts a cap on a license size. But the problem is there was a loophole that made it so a company could buy 4 production licenses. They just needed different addresses. And so we have another slide that we'll be showing in a minute to prevent that. But yeah, you got to make sure, like, for example, if you have a cap on company size at 500 plants, well, if some one owner can buy 5 licenses, it's just the same thing as having a huge grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wait,
Absolutely.
I can find my tomorrow. I might need it by tomorrow. But we gotta get going.
So another thing that I would like to point out is having a smaller grow would actually create higher quality plant. The company cultivating and processing the plant would be able to focus on those plants and create more higher quality cannabis for medical use. And that's basically what we want to work towards. We want to help educate everybody how to grow your plants, how to take care of your plants, and how to create a higher quality plant for products. And this has a lot to do with medical. So that's something that we need to take into consideration as well. The next slide is going to be on cultivation fees. Now, Section 11, Part D is the cultivation fees tier system. Originally, and this is still in the ordinance that is going to be passed, they really didn't have a certain amount of fees except for the tier 1. So we are asking for new cultivation fees for tier 1 to be at $625. The idea was to put in some examples for employees and the weight of what you would cultivate. So tier 1 would be $625 with 3 employees, 15 pounds. Tier 2 would be $1,250 with 5 employees at 30 pounds. Tier 3 would be $1,875 with 7 employees at 45 pounds. Tier 4 would be $2,500 at 9 employees, 60 pounds. Tier 5 would be $3,125 with 11 employees at 75 pounds. Now, the possibility with this type of cultivation fees in this tier system would be 30 companies to cultivate, averaging 5 employees. This can mean 160 to 200 total employees in production. So this is something that we also need to think about, because this is not put into the ordinance that is going to be passed on Wednesday. So chapter 13, section 13 also talks about the number of allowed licenses. And this is what Trent was talking about. So we changed to a member can own only one each type of license. This allows a small business to vertically integrate owning their whole process. Basically, they can go from cultivation process and then retail as well. Prevents monopoly on retail, because dispensaries and lounges products, not them not having to control all of the market of those retail products. No control of farms, product pricing by the dispensaries and lounges, no market control. No one person or business can own more than one farm, dispensary, or lounge. So this will go against somebody coming in who is a tribal member and owns multiple lounges or multiple businesses on different sections or different districts of the reservation. Did you guys want to add anything else into this one?
Yeah, I'd like to add a few things on that. And
Sure.
the biggest purpose to this is because the market is only 30,000 or so people. And so if someone has access to a lot of money, a tribal member, or maybe there's a couple tribal members that are wealthy that want to invest, we want to make sure that they can only own in one dispensary so people get a chance to own their local dispensary. There may be 12 to 14 dispensaries across the reservation. And if you can only own in one as a company and member, enrolled member, then that's going to mean it's going to take 14 companies right there just to have those all running. And it just gives everybody an option where you don't have one group that has a lot of money say, I'm going to buy all the dispensaries, name it one brand. That's one of the biggest problems with outside investment, is because you have somebody like a Starbucks comes in and you now no longer have a brand. And if another issue with this is, if you Google Oregon wholesale prices crashing, the big business knew that the farms were producing way too much product, and we produced 10 times what the state could consume, but yet illegal to export. So we couldn't export. And it caused a crash of all the small businesses that were just in production. And the big business knew exactly what was going to happen because they have good advisors. So they all invested into retail. And that's exactly what will happen here if you allow outside investment. They're going to come in and buy your retail, and the farmer has to sell to the retail. So in Oregon, it created a situation where all the farmers were begging the stores to get in, and our prices dropped from $3,500 a pound all the way down to $500 a pound. And outdoor was going for $200 a pound, which basically everybody couldn't even afford to feed their family with. And so my involvement is, I don't want to make a dollar off of this law. I won't be in business there. Any consulting I do is free, but I want to make sure what happened to my company doesn't happen to you guys. And yeah, that's all I needed to say on that one.
I want to piggyback off again, Trent. I think for me, looking at this knowing our culture and knowing who we are as a people, I grew up there, and my mom, Colleen, Crazy Thunder, and my family taught me that, we're supposed to share, we're supposed to take care of each other. And looking at this doesn't allow for us to be able to learn to share. And this actually gives us an opportunity to work together and unite as a tribe, instead of, saying, oh, well, this is mine, this is mine. Well, it's not about you or me, it's about us. And this actually limiting this will allow us, and like you said, it's even not only is it blocking outside investors, but it's also promoting healthy communication, healthy unity, healthy awareness among our tribe, because I know that we want what's best for each other. I mean, I know my parents raised me with Lakota values, so I know it came from somewhere. So I really would just hope that it stays where we can promote the best unity for our people. And that's what I have to say. So thank you, Jenny Lee. Sorry.
Yes. So, and you guys are right, because a lot of that ties into, the values of our people. We believe in generosity. This can bring back generosity towards each other. This can heal relationships. This can bring people together and unify them, unify a family, a Tioshbai, a Tiwahe who wants to own business, who wants to work together, who wants to create a life for themselves on the reservation. And we have to remember that, yes, our values are very important here. And this is pretty amazing to pull this out and say, hey, you know, this will bring us together. This will create generosity. Okay, so the next slide is going to, Trent, did you want to say anything?
I just wanted to say also that working for a family member, you know, because they're all going to be hiring relatives, and say there's 40 companies and they're all hiring their relatives, that's hundreds of people with jobs that you now aren't working for a corporation. Like if Starbucks comes in, you're going to be working for a corporation for a low paying job. It's going to be miserable because it's going to be a corporate structure. And the one beautiful thing about the cannabis community is in medical cannabis, small businesses, and it was your team was family. You know, not even if you weren't blood, but everybody's wearing the same logo. It's your thing. It's your circle. And I see that for people there. And the tax revenue off of this is where the entire tribe gains revenue, and the council reps get the a bit not coming from the feds, because that tax revenue is going to be coming from, you know, sales. And I just want to throw that in.
But not only that, it promotes, again, like as a family dad, as a family man, you know, you're a Lakota man, and you are a prime example of, and me too, I just started my own business, and I want my boys to be business owners, because as a business manager, remember, I'm not making my own money, I'm managing somebody else's business. So that means Jenny Big Crow goes out and works for $10 an hour, let's say $10 an hour, for my boss, who brings in $100,000 a month or that day, you know? So that $100,000 could be mine if I start my own business, but because I'd rather work for somebody, I'm still at the $10 an hour job. It didn't take rocket science for me to figure out that I don't want to pay myself $10 an hour to work for somebody where I'd rather work for myself. And that's really what Starbuds and them do, is like they're called a franchising, which basically means that, like, if I start a company and I want to make money off of it, and I go recruit Starbuds to sell my shoes as a Lakota Native woman, because apparently they like us for whatever reason. But hey, Starbuds, I have my own company. I want you to sell my shoes for me. When they sell my shoes, they ain't gonna get none of my profits. You guys know that. They only get paid to sell my shoe. That's it. I'm paying them $10. But if I sell my shoes for $100, guess where that $90 goes to? It goes to me, into my bank account. And I thank Starbuds for that, because Starbuds did their job. I paid them $10 to go sell my shoe. They did their job. So here, this personal thing, right? This thing coming up that we're looking at is the same thing. Starbuds is trying to tell us, hey, we want you to sell a dime bag for us. We want to sell $10. Okay. Well, do you know what, off that $10 you make, you'll probably get $1 of it, and they get the 90, or even if you get $1, you might get a penny. You might get a penny for your hard labor, when in all reality, that $10 could be yours and all yours. And that is why I'm adamant on owning our own businesses as a tribal member, to empower you guys to make your own money, because you're worth it. Every single one of you, even you council people. So that's my spiel, guys. You can go ahead and Starbucks, come work for me, please.
Absolutely. And so that's the important thing, is that we have to remember that our tribe has the capacity to own their own businesses, to create their own income, to pull in their own people, to have their own brands, their own marketing system here. This is the beginning of something that we must realize, that we have the power within us to create our own revenue. And this is something that goes back into our Constitution, our, you know, when they came and they gave us the IRA governmental system, you know, they said, hey, govern yourselves. Okay, so let's move away from getting all of the money from the government and start looking out into, hey, what can I do for my people in case something does happen? Will I have my own source of revenue to support my people in my community. And really need to think about that. We really need to think about becoming more self-sufficient and more sustainable within our own money and cash flow system here. So moving on to the next slide. This one is on chapter 4, section 3, quality assurance, and this has to do with the testing. Part A, testing. This is for all marijuana cultivated. Switch to random testing. We're asking that the amendment be from regular testing switch to random. And this is because we'd like to provide the customer with products pesticide free. Random testing of each batch will discourage misconduct of batch handling. Part B, testing for all marijuana processed is switching. We would like to switch to random testing as well. Random testing of retail shelves by the labs will also encourage each product won't have any additives or won't make the customers sick. We need to encourage tribal cannabis companies to constantly strive for higher quality products. And this one is very important. And I know Trent is very adamant on this. And I am too, because a lot of the products that you pull off of shelves, some people can get sick. So if we don't have the best quality products and to ensure the health and safety of our people, then why would we have a product at all? Go ahead, Trent.
Okay, so thanks for pointing this all out. And you know, the biggest thing of why this is important to me is because we have a production license here in Oregon, and we deal with testing on a day-to-day basis. The customer believes that testing is there to regulate the growers and the extractors and make sure their product is safe. But the way the structure is set up, the grower is who the lab works for. Like, they come to our place and we present what they're going to test, and just a sticker identifies it. So I can put anything in front of the lab tech and they take a sample, and then they go to the lab, they do the test and send me back the results. And so once I have those results, you could send anything to the store under that batch. And so what my concern was immediately here in Oregon is that since we're in control of our own testing, you can literally say a batch of oil, for example, you think may not pass, or you know this other batch tests really high in terpenes and THC. You can literally present the same batch to a lab tech over and over again and then sell anything to the store, and it's never tested at the dispensary. And to me, this is the biggest story in cannabis, because I came from medical. You know, I ran a medical company for 10 years. The thing for me is sick people are going into these dispensaries and they think that we're regulated and that we'll get in trouble. But in 4 years of recreational cannabis in Oregon, there's never been an actual pesticide bust due to lab testing. The biggest reason why is because if one of us pops dirty, it's between us and that lab tech. And so, you know, it never gets out because they're all competing over our business. There's probably 30 labs. And since they're competing over our business, they all, you know, they're not going to expose that you're popping dirty because you'll never call them again. And so the reason why I wanted random testing there is because I'm also trying to get that in the state of Oregon. And what it is for is so no matter what I send to the store, if it tests dirty when it's randomly tested, that I'm going to lose my license. You know, there needs to be an authority, just like in a commercial kitchen, where it's randomly checked. And if the commercial kitchen is dirty, they're going to lose their license. And that's basically what's so important about random blind testing. You know, basically it's like having a murderer in control of his own blood samples for the lab or something. It's ludicrous. Like, and I don't think any chemist would disagree with it if they really looked at it.
So Trent, what I hear you saying is it's not good, because we need to have accountability for like what our quality and the quality of our products that we send out. So while we're, you know, just like the shoe example, you know, if let's say that people put stuff in this shoe that is poisonous to our children, you know, like there's some type of material in this shoe, and we have a law that says, well, you can't sell that shoe unless it's free of that material. But because I'm sneaky or because I want money, I can get it through by kind of finding somebody that will be my buddy and pass my shoe. But what you're saying you did, or what you would like, is somebody that is not associated with me or my buddy, but a random person, a random company testing my shoe. Like that's what this is for. Is that what you're saying?
you need a true third party because you're still going to need a
Okay,
certified
Yes.
private lab. But what that
okay.
person, that lab should be working for the tribe itself and be contracted. And through, you know, taxes that you're gaining on the sales is how you pay for that lab.
They're for the people, and this third party lab is making sure that we're not sending out bad products, and no matter who you are, that their role is to
Yeah.
protect. Yeah, okay, that
Yes.
makes sense.
And
Thank
Mhm.
you.
that
Yep.
doesn't mean that doesn't mean a farm can't get that lab to come test for them, because they can come test a batch if they're worried about it. But like for me, I've never failed a test ever, not even once in 4 years of recreational cannabis, and never before that. And we were the very first company to ever write an article on pesticides and help High Times with their first article 7 weeks later. So like I've been on to pesticides forever, just because I started in medical. And when I came back to Oregon, I was really excited over testing. And when I realized that I was in control of my own batch samples, I was absolutely shocked, because nobody realizes that there is no real testing. And so the way testing was done is they knew that if say the OLCC, who licenses us, if they were going to pay for testing, not the farms, there's no way they would have this high a volume of tests. So the lobbyists for the labs lobby to be able to test every single batch, and that's why it's in your wording, is because they want to make sure that your guys' farms are paying thousands of dollars a month in testing, literally. And testing is a lot more effective if I know that if I send something to the store and it pops dirty, then I'm going to lose my license, because it's called self-policing. It's like if you own a restaurant, you're going to keep the kitchen clean because you know that random knock when it comes to the door, if it's dirty, you're going to lose your restaurant and your
Yeah.
whole investment. And
Yep.
so I'm right now, there's no repercussions for dirty tests, and it's not public. And so in my personal view, there is no testing. We wrote an article called Why Testing is Irrelevant, the Fox Guarding the Hen House. And we were able to change testing partially in Oregon, but it's still not good enough. But our company actually changed testing here in Oregon. It's just not to the level it needs to be. And if every dispensary was required like 20 to 30 tests each dispensary, where they don't know the day the lab tech's going to go in, the batch sample in metric ties that back to the farm that grew it. And so you know exactly who grew it if it tests dirty. And you can go check that same batch on a different dispensary shelf. Say they sold it to parts of it to two different stores. And then if that tests dirty, you know it came from them and it tests dirty. You see what I'm saying? And then you take their license. Or maybe
Trent,
there's a warning or a fine. You see what I mean?
yeah, Trent, I want to say thank you for like really being thorough with that explanation. And I personally, this is kind of not off topic, but it isn't. I want to say I'm proud of you for passing those 4 tests, because I do accounting, and I take pride in the work that I do. And because I have laws that govern me too, and I mess with people's money, and so that means people actually have to trust me first. And I handle money for managers, and one of the biggest thing I want to let my manager know is, hey, listen, you can trust me because I passed 5 audits, and it's hard. It's a week worth of just auditing and paperwork, and it's my work and it's my books. And so when I pass an audit by somebody that comes in and scrutinizes my work, and they say, you did a good job, there's nothing missing, that makes me feel good, and it makes me feel proud of who I am, because my mom and my dad, I always go back to being how proud of a Lakota person I am. And even though I'm not home, I know, and I am just saying thank you, Trent. Thank you for representing us out in
Yeah.
Oregon. Anyway, love you. I get all
Well,
excited.
well,
I'm sorry.
That's
well, I'm just
okay.
saying, like, the test, even if I was failing tests, that you wouldn't even be able to know. And see, and that's the whole problem with testing, is because since they work for us, it's private, it's between you and the lab if you fail a test. And so a dispensary, say, that's buying your product, will never know that some of your
Yeah.
product's failing.
Well,
Yes.
this
So
needs to go out to the rest of the cannabis community, because guess what? If it's hurting them, if it's their problem, it's our problem, and it's not going to be a part of the Oglala Lakota tribe problem, though. That's my hope, right?
Yes.
Right?
this
It doesn't
testing,
have to be a part of our problem, because we could fix that if we get this amendment in properly. Correct? Am I wrong?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, there you go.
and
Fix
see,
that loophole.
and the whole goal, and like, I got to reiterate that the only reason why I'm involved in this is because I truly believe that we can pass the first small business protected law in the country, and the first one that other reservations are going to use that are in states that are, for example, say the reservation wants to pass adult use cannabis, but medical's only passed in that state. Well, they're going to copy this law because it's going to have protections to stop trafficking, because that's the number one thing is this, it has to make sure that product is not leaving the reservation. And, that's one of the reasons why the lounges are really important, because this is the only place that a non-member can buy product is on those lounges near hotels. And that's what the big investment that's trying to come in wants. They could care less about you guys' farms, even the extraction. They want to own the most important piece, which is that lounge. So we'll have to talk about that sometime.
All right. I think I think we got that coming up, I think, right, Jenny?
Absolutely. So I wanted to explain this whole testing model is a new model that has never been introduced. They're trying to get it introduced, but as the OST, we have the ability to introduce this, which is amazing. So this is like a precedent setting ideology and methodology of how to test. So just wanted to throw that in with everybody. Absolutely. So the next slide is going to be Chapter 8, Section 2 is sampling and testing. And we also did this for the cultivator and processor. This is going to be changed to random testing as well. So this will allow for the labs to randomly choose the products to test. All of the batches test will be provided safe products without additives and pesticides. Cultivators will not be able to cheat on a random test, and that's what Trent was just talking about. Processor changed to random testing as well. Labs can randomly take products for testing. This will ensure products are healthy and not harmful to ingest, and provide quality assurance and non-biased testing from an independent lab. And that's what Trent had brought up about the tribal lab that would be contracted specifically by the tribe to randomly test everyone. So Chapter 11, Section 3, growing for personal use. This is Part B. We wanted to amend to from personal plant count is originally and still is at 2 plants. We wanted to amend it to 4 mature. This is because, so we're going to provide this for no medical grow smaller than 4 plants in United States. Literally, there's none. Allows for 2 different strains. Example would be an indica strain and a sativa strain. And those who understand cannabis, I'll let Trent describe indica and sativa if after I mention these other 2. Multiple strains for different ailments. One for sleep at night and one for alertness in the daytime. And so the alertness in the daytime has something to do with indica and sativa. There's a multiple, everybody knows who knows cannabis, there is multiple strains of cannabis. And Trent, you can go ahead and take this one. I'll let you go ahead and explain it.
With someone that has a medical condition like muscle spasms, back pain, severe headaches, there's going to be times where they're going to want to smoke but still remain clear-headed and just get rid of that pain relief and get some relaxation in your muscles. There's going to be times where they're going to want to actually go to sleep. So it's a lot like medications, only it's natural. So you can get strains that'll put you to sleep, you'll get strains that can keep you going and keep you thinking very clear, and so sativa is known for uplifting and clear-headed, and indica is more like a knock you out, go to bed, or you really get you high more than a sativa would. But the most popular are always going to be hybrids between the two, because in a hybrid you can find all sorts of different versions of them mixed together. And so for people that have different health issues, there's specific strains that are good for them. Like, say you don't want to get intoxicated at all. You maybe have epilepsy. You want to do a strain called Charlotte's Web. That strain is going to make sure that you're not getting intoxicated, but you can take very high volumes. It's good for like kids that got health issues where they don't want to get intoxicated. So I mean, having 2 total plants is unheard of in medical cannabis. And so what we updated it to is 4 mature. So it should be like 12 immature in case, they're doing seedlings, and some may be male or female, and they're determining. And so at a young age, you can have a few more, but 4 mature means 4 that are in your flower room. And that allows you to at least have 4 different strains, or 2 that are, a little higher volume coming in. But you don't really have a medical grow. At 2 plants, you would have to have 1 in veg and one in flower. I wanted to touch back on the testing because I know we had gone past that, but I know that the attorneys, the cannabis attorneys, are going to think, well, with random testing, how can you tell what potency and terpenes each batch is? And that's why you'll see in our amendments that we're trying to get a lab that does just potency and terps, that's owned by a tribal member. So each batch will be tested by lab techs, just like they are now in other states that you guys are familiar with. But the difference would be is the pesticides, which is the actual physical danger to the consumer, is going to be tested randomly, and you can lose your license over it. So basically, what the stuff that's a risk to the consumer is taken very seriously, and it takes a lot more expensive equipment. But terpenes and THC can be easily tested with cheaper equipment, and I believe a tribal member owned company should be doing that. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah,
Okay, so
absolutely. That will actually bring in a lot of our tribal members who are studying sciences, and they can actually, come back and own their own sciencing, testing lab, and have the ability to hire them, because I know a lot of my friends who have studied different biologies, bioengineering, and things like that. They don't have a job here, so they can't come home, and they're usually working out in the big cities. It'll give them an opportunity to come back. So go
Hey,
ahead, Jen.
Jenny, can we look at that last slide that we were talking about? Because Trent was touching on those plants and the count. So you said that there's nowhere in America, or like that
Oh yeah.
there are only two.
It's unheard of. I've never seen anything like it. To have 2 plants only, because they're not specifying whether mature or not. In order to keep a strain alive, you have to have a plant of it in the veg room, meaning you're simulating the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. And so you keep it in your indoor grow, and then you take clones off of it. So in order to have 2 plants, you could only have 1 plant and flower at a time, and it only comes in every 2 months. You'll be able to get a cut of plant down. So every 2 months you'd cut one plant down, and that's not even enough to supply anybody that's got serious ailments. It's a joke. And these guys that are introducing this, I have real issue with it, because they talk about how minorities have been mistreated by the drug war and all these things. And when you look at in the decriminalization aspects of this bill, you people, if you are a felon for anything, you can't work in the industry. I mean, there's a lot of people that are felons down there that are good people, and they deserve to be able to work in the industry. I can understand if they're a danger, like if say they may assault somebody or something, I can understand that's a little different of a felony. But if I got a drug charge for anything, give them a chance to take care of their families, and don't treat them like that. So I just want to throw that in too.
Thank you for explaining that, because when you told me that, I mean, it didn't make sense to me. Like, okay, if there's people here to help us, when people come to help you, they actually are going to help you. They help you get out of things. I'm out here in this world, and I've been out for a while, and people don't realize how much I depend on my family on the reservation to help me out here. I don't have family like that out here. I go home, and my relatives are the ones who even help me, even though they don't have something. I'm a single mom out here making it happen. But it's important that these laws be looked at, because if these people are for you, everything in this law will help you flourish. Everything. There will be nothing holding you guys back. But here we're saying we're finding these regs that wherever this draft came from, because I don't know, these 3 lawyers, Tay, Darnell, Leland, and Judy wrote it. But anyways, that's not my point. So this law was written, and they're honestly oppressing us in this law again. Mass incarceration is real for natives. I mean, people are sitting in jail for $10 right now. And yet, okay, so and let me get not started on that. But so another thing about this medicinal part is the fact that you got war veterans out here with PTSD. You got sexual trauma survivors. You got all of these people that are not, it's not just the medicinal in that, you can use it to do other things. But when we're looking at a real trauma and we're looking at our mental health, we talked about how we have people that are chemists, that are engineers, that can actually probably come to Pine Ridge, that are native, that are Lakota, that can literally come from the cities into Pine Ridge and help or not even in, but that are even there within your guys' tribe even now,
Yeah. Mhm.
that can start to build that community, because our war veterans are important to us. They're the one. I'm a veteran.
Yeah.
I'm an Army veteran. So for me to live in Pine Ridge, and if I moved to Pine Ridge, I would be pissed. Yo, if y'all sign this and I move there and you guys cap me to 2 plants, I'm not moving there. How about that?
You know,
You guys can
before
have
we
that, just to be honest, because
before we
that's
go off this, I'm sorry
sorry,
to
but
interrupt you. Before we go
Yeah.
off this slide, I wanted to point out that what we wrote is the minimal in the
Mhm.
country
Yeah.
for a medical
And I
for
wanted to
mature
say
plants.
that. I was actually going to
Yeah,
say that, you know, because some places actually have like 6 to 12.
yeah, exactly. So we compromised in
Mhm.
I mean, we upped it considerably because technically we're upping it to about 12 total plants, counting the ones that you'd have in veg. If you allowed, say, 8 in veg, 8 in
so
veg
you're
doesn't
saying
matter
we
if
can
they can
create
never
our
get.
own law to cap it on what we want, and we don't need anybody else telling us it? Like, we can actually
Well,
come up together and say, Pine Ridge, how much
but
plants do we need as a
but
law? But right now,
well, see, this is the thing: is as long as this law is really being drafted for not just Pine Ridge, is so much bigger than this, because these guys that are also invested into trying to pass this law are going to go to every other reservation, and they're going to own their lounges. Anybody that in states that they're being paid to open up, if they haven't opened it up yet, this is a perfect thing. Run it through the reservations, and I
Yeah.
believe they're trying to gain credibility so they can literally. It would be equivalent to an outside corporation owning a percentage of all reservation gaming. That's how big this is, because cannabis is equal to you guys' new gaming. I don't mean to say you guys, I'm saying the locals should run it, is why I say you guys. Because, I got relatives, I'm related to you guys, but this is your market. The people that live there deserve to own and control the companies. No outside company should be coming to council and saying, this is what you should say. This is what your wording of your law should be. This
Yes,
should come from you
absolutely.
guys. And even me, as being related to you guys, I have no business making money off you guys. I have no business off doing anything else but getting good publicity. If any of it, say, is a victory and it goes national, that the whole cannabis community is like, we got our first small business law, I get to say I was a part of that. And to me, that's priceless. And
Yeah.
any big corporation that comes down and is trying to offer deals, that they should be wanting nothing in return but good PR for their company, or they
Mm.
shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
It's like
absolutely.
NASCAR. When you see NASCAR, everybody's got patches all over. They could be investing in people's companies and greenhouses that'll be later used on documentaries about how everything was reversed, and their brand is on that greenhouse because they invested in helping that little company get started. But have no ownership, because of the way this is wrote. If we get our amendments, they'll get no ownership. They'll get no way to profit off of it. So the only thing they can get is PR. Anyway,
Absolutely.
sorry guys.
Yeah. Oh, no, 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 that's fine. Okay, so the next one, this is actually a good segue into this next one because Trent was actually talking about ownership. And so this one is Chapter 12, Section 1, Ownership, Interest, and Control. We wanted to amend the ownership from 80% to 100% tribal enrolled members and 100% tribal enrolled member profit. Now, right now, it's currently at 80% member and then 20% non-member owned. Now, the reason why we wanted to move this is because this will allow revenue to stay in tribes, into the tribe, and enrolled members will benefit. Increase money circulation for economic growth. Now, we currently are at about maybe a day. I don't think the money circulates more than like 3 times on the reservation and then it flies off. We have really no cash flow systems here. Another thing is we want to encourage youth and elderly care programs, veteran programs, men and women programs, programs. We can create a trauma center. We can do so much with this revenue. If you think about it, when it was actually passed in Colorado, the first month, that first February that it was passed, Colorado had a revenue of over $20 million. Now, what would you do with $20 million? Granted, we are a small place and our market system would be smaller, but what would you do with that first amount of revenue? Think about it. What can we build here? What can we create? We can create other businesses. We can create trauma centers. We can create rehab centers. We can create so many other things for our people through this. If we make sure and protect our businesses and our families who want to run these businesses and make sure they're 100% tribal enrolled, member owned. Another thing would be we would be able to control the market and create a tribal member brands, you know, just like Trent was saying, our own brands. Wow, our own t-shirts, our own products, our own water bottles. I mean, we can ship that stuff out into the world. That's something we really need to consider. That can be another side part of the business. We can also decrease franchises from investing and taking over the market. That's a major one. We want to be able to control our own market. We want to be able to have our own businesses. The state does not have partners or investors. We have to remember that. The state, they don't allow investors to come in. Why does the tribe need to? This is pertaining to 80% tribal member owned and 20% non-member. If you guys want to go ahead and step in and speak on any of that as well.
Yeah, this one's the most important one to me besides the separation of the ownership in dispensaries and farms. It's one of the biggest reasons why I'm involved in this, because I got involved in medical cannabis way prior to getting into rec. And we started with just a few lights. We were a small group that knew how to grow good cannabis. And I feel like when the big investment came in, that's what destroyed all opportunity for most growers, because they weren't business savvy yet. They were like me. I was learning, I was tripping and falling through business. You know, it took me a long time to get to where I'm at right now. And I made huge mistakes. And you got to have time to make those mistakes and refine your craft before these millionaires come in that already have experience. They already got growers that they're paying. They'll send crews in. I mean, the way that it's wrote, there's nothing preventing someone from hiring all employees that are not tribal members. The way it's still wrote, there's nothing in it yet saying that the people who work there have to be tribal members. And so, you know, things like that, why would that be left out when the entire council has openly been talking about it being tribal member only, and most everybody was told that all from the very beginning of this. And so why this is important is because there is tribal members can all throw together 20, 30,000, or have a tribal member that lives off the reservation that has enough money they can invest in their family, a small amount. And that's why we left it at 80% local residents and 20% residents off the reservation. The reason why is because that person that's on the reservation needs to be able to have someone invest in them. But at 20%, that means super majority is still locally controlled. And at 80% ownership on the reservation, they have total control of the company. But it still allows them to borrow money from one of their cousins or something. And, you know, like for example, one of them's a nurse, I believe, that lives in Rapid. I bring her up a lot just because it's the first one I think of. And she wants to invest in her family members at home. But just because she lives in Rapid City, you got to make sure that she's allowed into the market, but not that she can come in and run the thing. You see what I mean?
Yep.
Hey, Trent, you guys, thank you. And I want to just piggyback off of that, because you know something, what I take pride in is who we are as a people. And all of us can say that we learned from our elders. We can say that we learned from our local community, because I have an 8th grade education through the Native. I didn't have Native friends until, I mean, not Native friends. I didn't have any outside friends. I grew up in just nothing but Natives until I was 18. I went to Pine Ridge till I was 15. And then I went off to Flandreau, and then I went off to Chemawa and Oregon. And Oregon is where I got introduced to the like one hitter quitter stuff. But anyways, we'll talk about that later. But my point is, my Native people raised me. And so the fact that I'm able to come out into society, into an American society, American culture, and flourish as a leader, as an accountant, and be able to understand their systems, they should be proud of us, because you know what? We are smart. And they invested in us as little kids, you know, Tiny to Corey, all of them. I remember going to graduation. I remember my teachers, you know, and so that's why I'm here. You know, my passion is saying, you guys remember what you did for us. We are looking, and now we're using our gifts to try to do for you. because you guys deserve it. Like our community, our tribe deserves us. And I don't like to fight with my family. We're all gifted, and I look at every single family, even those that try to be ornery with us. Well, go like what
Well, it's
somebody
not
in the group
about
is always saying,
this is the
when we're getting back and forth is about unity for me, Trent, is like somebody always saying, go smoke a doobie, and
let,
then we'll just laugh.
let's
But
I wanted to talk one more thing about this chapter 12 because there's one thing that I missed. 20% to a non-member, the way it's set up right now. The way it's set up right now, there's nothing stopping one tribal member from owning 5 licenses for production, every dispensary, all the lounges. Literally, one tribal member could own it all with an investor like Starbuds, the way that it's wrote right now. They didn't write anything that prevents small business from just not existing. And so
Yeah.
that's the only reason why there's been a fight over this law, because in reality, your small businesses won't have a chance the way that this is written right now. And the attorneys were told over and over again that the entire tribe wanted it 100% tribal member only. They wanted it controlled by residents. All of these things were told to them over and over again. And so if I was able to say one thing to council right now, I would say, who's guiding these attorneys to allow outside big investment onto the reservation? Who's guiding them, or are they doing it on their own? Because those are two very different things. If one person is guiding them and the whole council is not aware, which is what I believe is happening, somebody's telling them to do these things, and they're not doing it on their own because they would be risking their law license. And so I know they're going to listen to this, and I hope the council listens to this. I don't think the council's in on this. I think that it's a very handful of people, and whoever they are, they got reached to the attorneys. And yeah, anyway, sorry guys.
Oh, no, that's
So,
fine.
Trent,
Absolutely.
that goes back to the fact that the whole reason I got caught onto this was, why are we blocked 3 times now? I'm pretty smart. I just got through explaining my tribe raised me. My tribe raised me. They taught me to think. I'm an army veteran. I went to the military, and I learned to strategize, and I learned to think and serve my country. So that bothered me when now 3 times. I also want to know who is guiding, because Leland said something in our page on cannabis, and he said, well, we lawyers are only here to advise. We don't actually do it. So here's my question: who is actually literally getting on their computer and typing this document up? Because I'm a business manager. I had to write documents. I know how to do these. I have to edit. Jenny Lee knows how to. Trent knows how to. And I'm sure many of you
Well,
guys
we
know.
know who it is. It's Tay
So,
Darnell, because he's writing the business aspect of the law. Leland's
I
writing
forgot you're right. Never
decriminalization.
mind. I forgot you're right, because
Yeah,
but
so we know
not that I want to
the
imply you
question
personally, but
the question is Tay doing it for his other investment buddies, because he is involved in cannabis as an investor
he needs
himself.
to listen
It
to the
says it right
people,
on his
not
LinkedIn.
anybody else,
And,
but the people. And he's not listening to the people.
but hold on, but we can't say anything because we don't know, because if he's being guided, he's completely in his legal bounds.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
something
that's what we
that
need.
we just have to ask. We have to ask them,
I'm
if
sorry,
that's a
he's not listening to
possibility.
the people, though.
But
Whoever it
we
is that's
don't know
writing
any
these
of that.
documents is not
So we need to
listening.
just
And I
keep
need you to listen. Stop
encourage.
writing these documents against our tribe and our cannabis industry. Stop it. Because we see what you're doing, and we're reading every
Well,
single
hold
thing that
on.
you are.
Let's just keep it to what the council is going to, because we're trying to get this clear to the council. So let's just
Sorry.
go to.
Oh,
Council,
yeah.
you guys need documents. I'm sorry, I got a lot. You guys need to check Tay. He's some Lakota spiritual guy or something that he's apparently connected to us, but I don't know who he is. Maybe you guys do. But anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have no
I
idea.
get
You're
off on
fine. No, that's absolutely fine. That's fine. You have questions. We have questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. And so,
It's passion. There's nothing wrong with it. It's
yeah,
passion, but we just got to be real clear to the council right now and make sure we get through this. So
as Lakota people, when we've been through a lot, and when we see things like this happening, it affects us, it upsets us, it makes us question things, and that's fine. That's understandable, because we did go through a lot, so that's good that you're bringing it up. But so moving on, and I hope the council does look at this, and they do ask those questions, ask those questions, It's okay. Ask those questions. You know, you guys hold the key. You guys have the power to ask those questions. So yeah, we, as a group, we would like for you to ask those questions, and that's okay, you know. Chapter 13, section 2 is prohibited acts. We wanted to add at the bottom of this section that no less than 20 tribally enrolled member owners at the lounges near Prairie Winds Casino and near Prairie Winds East, or any future casino establishment. So this is where the lounges will be. And we would like for multiple investors of tribal members, enrolled members owning and investing in these lounges, because we know, and I think I have a slide on that, but more owners for the lounges, as lounges are the most profitable revenue for cannabis processes. We want to keep the lounges tribal enrolled member owned with no outside investors or interests or franchises. We want multiple owners to prevent wealthy businesses or enrolled investors from controlling. We also want to promote Lakota values through community business ownership. We also want to prevent monopolies, and we also want to spread the wealth. We want to encourage more people to come in and, you know, partner up, own the dispensaries, lounges, or the lounges at the casinos, and everybody will be able to make a profit. Did you guys want to add anything
Yep.
to this one?
I would love to. Yeah. The thing that's so important with this is with 20 people owning, they could all put in, say, 15,000, and you're looking at 300,000. You can definitely start this off at, you could find a building somewhere and cut a percentage in on it, say even a dispensary. If there's a little building that's not being used in your community, you can find out what tribal member owns it and say, hey, I'll give you 20% of my dispensary, and you know, steadily off the profit if you merge with me, so I can own a company here on in your building. And so what we're really encouraging is mergers by you guys to all work together on your own little piece of the pie. And you know, with a lounge, the lounge is going to be the only place that non-members can purchase cannabis. So the dispensaries are not going to have, maybe I would say 80% of retail sales are going to go through those lounges, because it's the only place that's non-members can go and consume, because they can't leave the reservation with it. And so I think if, say, 20 people threw in 15 grand, you have all people having voting say. So not one person's dominating, not one family is dominating it. Anybody that can come up with 15 grand's an owner, and they're going to make so much money off of that lounge. But the tax revenue off that lounge is beautiful. Like, the amount of money that's going to be made in tax revenue off that lounge is going to be where the council gets its spending money that's not federal. And but about the mergers, like you were saying, though, all of these things can be mergers. Like, someone could own land and other people willing to work. Like, I'm willing to work to get equity in what I own. That's what I do. So to me, it's like, you can go to someone and say, okay, you put your land up, I'll put the fence up, I'll do all the planting, I'll do all the work. It's called sweat equity. You know, I'll put the sweat equity in. When the crop comes in, we all get paid our cuts, and we're all owners, and we go on from there, because we built this together. And a lot of people, you know, they might be like, I don't want to start work without getting paid. But if you're getting ownership in something, it's worth throwing 3 or 4 months in. And when that crop comes in, now you're getting paid really well, you know?
Yeah, and that's
It's funny that
important
you
for
mentioned
everybody
that.
to know.
I'm sorry, it's
yes,
funny that
Jen?
you mentioned that, Trent, because the gardening, like the part, like I have nephews and relatives there that every summer they get ready and they have their gardens, and they do it for free anyways. I mean, we have people
Yeah.
within our tribe that are already doing it for free. And so
Mhm.
why not use this opportunity to educate on, I mean, it's a good educational opportunity for our youth, but it's also a good educational opportunity for them to begin to look at business in a really serious manner and really say, you know, as a family, when we do this, let's look at the end result. When we're done making this farm, or we're done and we get our crop, and the money does come in, you know, this is what your share is. And that encourages, that motivates people to want to get out there and say, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna go do it. And that motivates me personally. You know, I'm like, you know what, I'm not, you know, I will gladly throw my gifts in the bag just to get, so we can all eat at the table.
you know, because that, to me, it's about all
And
of
this
the
is the
people.
one thing, about it is a lot of people are saying, oh, well, how are we gonna get these companies started without money? I physically did it. I know you can get a company started without money. And I'm not on here to talk about myself, but I'm just saying you can get something started as a team with your team around you. And like, that's these families, you know, there's families that can pull together 3 or 4 cousins that are like, hey, let's all work the crop. Let's go to uncle's property, you know, set up the fencing, do all the stuff to get our permit. And when those crops come in, now they have a real company where they're paying themselves real wages. They got an accountant or whatever whatever to get that company fully functioning and fully legal. And then in a matter of a few years, what you're going to see is it's going to become nationally legal. And these companies will now have the practice, and they'll be able to fumble. They're going to make mistakes, but they're going to have time to fumble and make a few mistakes. And then when legalization comes around, they've proved it to investors. And that's when you get investors, when it's gone nationally legal and you guys can ship to, you know, New York stores legally and all these things. That's when you want investors, because then you want to expand really quickly. And but until you've proven the value of your little company, it has no value yet. And we need to give everybody the opportunity to do that sweat equity, get it in there, work hard, and show, hey, I'm here and I want a piece of this. You know, everybody deserves that, right? And they're going to be told by the people that want the outside investment in is, we need millions of dollars, guys. Nobody has the money. We need this. You don't need millions of dollars. You need 40 or 50 different little groups that are all pulling their little piece of the pie together.
Yeah, not only that,
Absolutely.
Trent, those of us that are out here, like me, I make money. I'm a single mom, and I, you know, I have to go to work, guys. Nobody's feeding me, so I got to grind. And you know what? The money that I make, I will gladly, you know, and I have. You know, people don't know, when my mom sent me away to the military, send me away. Me and her agreed that I was going to go away to the military, and I sent half my paycheck back to my mom, not because she made me, not because I had to, but because I knew the struggle. I knew the struggle. I grew up there, and you know, my mom took in a lot of our friends in the neighborhood, and you know, they were struggling. And so I'm tired of seeing our people struggle, and I'm tired
Me
of seeing
too, as
everybody.
well. Yes.
I'm sad. You know what, the more you talk, Trent, I get excited, because I envision it beyond. I can't even envision this. Like, that's how big this is in my head. I'm like, oh my God, there's so many opportunities. It's not just the cannabis. It's, let's get these rehab centers in. Let's detox our
Yeah.
family. Let's get them off of meth. Let's get youth centers in. Let's get this. Let's get. I mean, we can dream big, guys. If and
But
only
this is
if we could do it together.
and
But we have to do it together.
and this is the thing, though, is, you know, I know that I've put a lot of time and energy into this, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's going to do this to make money or anything. And I've said on the record over and over again that I'm not on it and I'm not going to make money. I know, you know, I had requested that they get a certified lab from Oregon. That was one of the things that, you know, a couple people tried to say I was going to make money
Yeah,
off of lab tests.
I remember
But
that.
yeah, so I want to address that, because I'm sure that that's going to be told to the council, and the council needs to look at what I had wrote. I said, because Oregon has the most advanced, they're testing for more things that, you know, more pesticides and other stuff than any other state. And there's probably 30 different labs. So when I said get an Oregon lab, you know, they're acting like I'm invested in labs. For one thing, that would not be legal, because I'm a grower, so I can't be investing in labs, and I don't have money to invest in the lab. If I did, I'd invest more in my grow. But the thing is if they're going to go make a deal with an Oregon, I mean, what do they think? I own 30 labs? Or I don't know how to explain it, but what I'm trying to get at is there's no way that I would make money off of testing. So anybody that says that is completely not understanding the situation.
Yeah,
Trent, I
and
honestly have to tell you that when I met you, me personally, I'm the type of person who got brought into this because I simply was asked to look at what somebody was doing there, as far as they wanted to get a business going, and they know that I'm a business manager. That's all. And they wanted me to look at these stuff that is there. And when I talked to you, Trent, when I heard you and that you were native, I vetted you, and I said, you know, I talked a lot with you before I really was open up to who I was as a person. Because one thing about I realized about our people is we're very private, and we're very, you know, I don't have a lot of white. My point is I
This
trust
is
you, and the more I got to trust you, the more I began to realize that this guy, Trent, you have proven yourself to me over and over in the fact that you don't, I call you so many times, you don't ever charge me. I mean, we don't charge, we're like brother
You
and
know,
sister.
this
We fight too. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my God. And I'm like, but I'm not getting
this is
anything out of it myself. I just love my people. And I just want you guys to know that I always cared because that's what you guys taught us. And if
but
yeah,
there's
this is the
anything
thing
other than that,
is I
that's what
said
I'm
from
going to
the
say.
And I said from the beginning, though, that I could never out native the people that I'm arguing with because, you know, I don't know the language. My grandma raised me, who was a Richards, and Laverne Richards. Her dad was Lewis Richards from Tut Hill, and but she raised me in Bozeman, Montana. You know, we lived in Montana, and I went to high school there for a while. I was there every summer as a kid in Lake Creek District. And what I do want to say to the council is, you know, I don't, even as being related to you guys, me being an outside, you know, outside person that wasn't born and raised there, I have no business owning a company and controlling it there or making money off of it. I don't even feel as a relative that I should make money off of anything down there. And so, especially, and that's why I'm in it right now, is because if I don't feel like I should make money off of it, I'll be damned if these big corporations that I'm fighting in our industry are going to come do it. And so this is basically us fighting through tribal members. It's like a proxy battle politically between MPP, New Approach, you know, Tay Darnell. I truly believe that, you know, there's all these different big investors that are investing in the South Dakota market, Montana market through political action groups that are down there lobbying. I'm convinced that you know, through some of the deals that have been admitted to and what we've been told already. I don't want to get into all of it, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, what I'm trying to say is, I just want to make sure that you guys own your own businesses, and I'm just, you know, honored to be related to you guys, and the fact that when I was a kid down there, this is what I was trying to say is, when I was a kid down there, the most talented and smartest kids that I was ever around, because I lived all over the place as a kid, and the smartest and most talented kids I'd ever been around was when I was living down there. And so, you know, I went to high school in Martin for a little while, and my best friend Yamni Valyun was absolutely incredible athlete. He was smart, he was passionate. He passed away in a car wreck at 18. And you know, I'm just saying that the people down there are incredible, and they deserve a shot at owning their own brands, naming them, doing the artwork for their own logos. So when they walk around and they're wearing their stuff, they know, hey, this is my future. It don't matter if we're having problems in council. It don't matter if we're having
yeah,
problems with the
yep,
feds. You know, I got my future here in
absolutely,
my hands. You know.
I
absolutely,
agree, Trent, because at the end of the
absolutely.
day, they believed in us, and now we need to believe in you, tribal council. Like we need to believe in you as our unchis, as our relatives, that you know what's best for us. And what's best for us is we got to keep them people out because they're not good people. And I
Yeah,
would not do what I'm doing if I didn't believe it myself. And I'm still, you know what? I'm not going to even own it. I have my own business that I can't even, I'm busy. So I got to keep moving. And I know that you guys are going to make the right decision because you guys are leaders and you taught us how to be leaders. We're basketball players. You know, I was a point guard. I lead, guys, and you guys taught me that. And so I know you guys will make the right decision. And I think we should go on to the next slide, maybe.
yeah. So this one is the cost to start cannabis operations. So what I did was some research. You know me, the researcher. Um, so and this is one of the reasons why I started on this whole cannabis journey. I didn't really talk about why I was involved and how I got involved, but I research. I do a lot of research and a lot of observation. And so what I did was I found out what the startups cost could be for grows, dispensaries, and lounges. So for grows, startup costs can be $20,000 for the lowest tier. Indoor as much as $75 per square feet. Combination indoor and outdoor is $50 per square feet. Outdoor is $10 to $17 per square feet, and I got this off of wikileaf.com. Dispensaries and lounges costs can start at $150,000, and this was what Trent was talking about. It can go up from there. I got that at Kova Software. So if you're taking 10 people investing $15,000, they can get that enough to build their own dispensary or lounge. Multiple investors are needed for the lounges and dispensaries, like we did say, you know, that was the example. Therefore, we do need to encourage tribal members enrolled membership only. And so that's something that, these are numbers that I just kind of threw out to everybody so you guys could understand where we're coming at. And this ordinance that is going through actually only allows for indoor growth. Now that's good and it's bad. The good part is if it passes, you can grow indoor during the winter months. If the bad news is it's $75 per square feet, it's pretty expensive. It's more controlled. You can control your cannabis grows, but you do have to put the money in. If it were to say be outdoor, you can grow and you wouldn't have as much control, but you can grow, you know, during the spring months, during the summer months, you know, that would be something. So I thought I'd throw this out there. I did another one. This is research on the cost to allow non-members to invest in OST cannabis industry. We will lose profits, basically. Profits will leave the reservation and keep us in poverty. Monopolies will come in. Only certain individuals will profit along with their franchises. The people will see a class system and stay in poverty. Big business will win. The people will not be able to dictate how to help those in need when profits leave the reservation. We are our own country. We have always been our own nation. We can do this. We can make these regulations work for us. Why we must ensure our cannabis industry is 100% tribal member owned. Sovereignty. We can work to create programs and housing for elders, children, veterans, men and women. Families can invest in their own on the reservation and have income when they decide to move home. Profits will stay in tribal members' hands, creating economic growth. We will build financial foundations to start other businesses. We will provide opiate rehabilitation funding sources. OST will be leading the way. The Oglala Sioux tribe will lead the way in cannabis history by creating only tribal enrolled owners. OST has advantage in the cannabis market in the state of South Dakota. OST can create their own industry and own their own market. OST will lead the way in helping other tribes. All tribes will have their own markets. We can also empower our Oyate. Encourage those who specialize in cultivation or retail to move home and own a cannabis grow. Encourage those who have engineering or biomedical backgrounds to come home and work in the testing labs. Empower tribal members to unify and take care of each other through better business and medicinal help. And I wanted to mention something about the medicinal side of cannabis. It is not native to this area. However, we do have medicines that we must respect. It is native to South America, and we need to stay on that side. We need to remember that it is a medicine, and we have to respect it in that way. The OST needs to control their own market with cannabis. This group has antitrust concerns with opening a monopoly on the reservation. The tribe is a sovereign entity with their own laws. State do not have partners or investors. Why does the tribe need to? This is pertaining to 80% tribal member owned and 20% non-member. And that's one thing I wanted to highlight. So the tribe's future is in your hands, council. 20% residency split, all enrolled member owned. 80, and this is the sign of if we allow 20% member and non-member owned, we'll still be under, basically under control of somebody else. So things to think about. I just wanted you guys to understand the return investment on cannabis business. I kind of wanted Trent to discuss that because he was talking about revenue, amounts of revenue, possibilities of revenue, and they were up in the millions. So we need to, if you want to discuss a little, Trent.
They're up in the billions, my friend. Billions, not the millions, honey.
Well, yeah, in the
Well,
United States.
Okay, so
tribe.
right now, for example, right now there's 4 million people in Oregon in the entire state, and we're selling over 100 million a month, which is about, we're getting about 20 million a month in tax revenue. So, you know, that's, I mean, we're not a very populated state. And what I see happening out there is even if you're only getting tax revenue from the local community off of their sales, for every 12 pack of beer that's not purchased, that money is going to pay for, you know, jobs of employees locally in your community. Because if they're buying cannabis instead of alcohol, it's going to give them a better lifestyle, a lot less stress and pressures. It'll help them get off opiates. You know, anybody that's having, you know, these type of issues like pain, you name it, they can get their own medical cards and grow and save themselves a lot of money that way. But the biggest thing is to make sure that money keeps circulating inside your local economy, and to make sure that how's the best way to put this? Okay, so there's certain companies that you do want outside investment. Like if in the hemp industry, you're going to want someone to invest if they bring the proper deal. Like they're going to, for example, allow you to have ownership in the processing of final products. Then you know that you're going to make good money and everything is going to be a fair deal. But if they come and say, I want a raw materials deal, which I know there's already hemp deals going on with the commission right now that are raw material deals, just like I warned about when I was there in February.
Yeah.
And when you look at production of hemp, it's going up dramatically. There was 200,000 acres planted last year. By 2023, there's going to be 3 million acres. So you're talking an enormous uptick now that it's nationally legal. Every huge farm in the country is growing hemp. So hemp, as far as raw material, is getting cheaper and cheaper. And there's only certain ways you can combat that. You can either own in processing, like say it makes lotions, the processing on the raw materials, and you're selling it to Walmart or something like that. You can make a lot of money if you own the processing and the final product is your own brands, just like we're talking in cannabis. So there's ways to get proper investment. But in cannabis, it's a different situation because it's still not federally legal. There's an enormous amount of profit for a very low investment. And that's only going to happen for a couple more years.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of investors might say, hey, we'll invest in you guys, but only take profit for the first couple of years. And the reason why is because they know those lounges are going to make a lot of money until it's nationally legal. And then those lounges are going to go back to just being kind of more of a local thing, unless we can turn it into a resort, a health resort or something. That's a whole nother topic. But while that money's being made, you know, you can turn it local and make it where it's a health resort something later. But there's only a window to make this kind of money. And these corporations are really looking at how reservations could open up lounges. And you know, I don't know if I'm getting off topic here, but
Can I ask you a question? Because what I hear you saying, and tell me if I'm wrong, is like is basically what you're saying. And at the beginning, you talked about if somebody comes in and brings us contracts or something like that. Is what I want council to know, and what I want people to know, is we have the upper hand here, guys. We are not.
Yes, we do.
We have the upper hand.
We do.
They don't get to decide what. They don't get to decide for us. I'm a businesswoman. It's business for me, guys. It's all business. It's nothing.
The best way to put this,
We have the upper
is
hand,
this.
so we make the decisions and who comes to the table and what we accept, not the other way around. And y'all need to know that. They don't get to come and say, oh, this, and we obviously got to educate ourselves.
That's a
But
good point.
we,
That's a good point, because this is the thing is these
we
people
have the upper hand.
Okay, and that's a good point. Well, this is the thing that's concerning is the people that are coming to make deals, they're doing them quietly without transparency to the rest of council. And that's what's concerning, is because they're writing things that they're saying, hey, you know, get this through council. They're not going and presenting to the entire council their business plan. Where what you see, what we're pushing is total transparency. And if they're not being transparent with council, there's a reason for that. And so I feel like, you know, I would never blame any council reps that have never seen these documents or been in insides with these attorneys. But whoever's telling these attorneys to write it the way they are, they're trying to extract profit off of the reservation at the key time that it's actually valuable and that it could change things.
And we have to take that into consideration. We have to ensure that, you know, the tribal council understands what's happening. And, you know, they did stall. Why did they stall for so long? You know, what is going on? They're continually paying out these lawyers' contracts. And yet, when we look at the new draft, not really anything has been changed. Our amendments haven't even been thought of. They probably pushed them aside with our petition and signatures. It's just mind-boggling how we weren't even heard.
it's very offensive to me as a leader, because if I'm, personally, I have a job. I'm a mom, a teen mom, and I'm sitting here spending hours and hours looking at these documents, doing this page, when these lawyers are sitting there at our goddamn table, excuse me, and getting paid $500 an hour when I'm sitting here struggling trying to feed my kids. Yet
Yeah,
you guys are paying these guys to do, and me and Jenny Lee and Trent are, and anybody else reading these documents, thank you. Any tribal
yes,
council, you guys, these lawyers are supposed to
Let's
be there to protect us,
let
not to put things in, and they have to be transparent. They have
yes.
to be.
okay.
According to
So
our bylaws, they have to be.
Go ahead,
So
Trent.
if
so
they are
this
not transparent, then something's up, guys.
Yeah,
Something's up.
well anyway. So this is the thing though, is at the end of the day, it's important to understand that this is like the modern gaming, because this is equivalent. Cannabis can be equivalent to gaming for reservations all across the country. And what these people are doing is equivalent to trying to create where they own 20% of gaming on every reservation. And if this passes, the Oglala are respected by everyone. And if this passes, and if you got attorneys saying, yes, look at what we just passed. Yeah, I do ceremonies and all the things that this white guy is saying, they're going to go to every council, and he's probably got people that are with him that I would call tokens, and they're going to go around and they're going to pass this in every council across the country. And so I think it's really important for the tribe to know that they're leading the way on something huge. I mean, this
Trent,
is political titans
yeah. So
lobbying and
can
secret.
ask your
can I
district reps,
interject here?
guys. We
Can I
gotta ask
interject?
our
Because
district reps. Oh, go ahead.
what I want them to know is that Tade, you guys please go to our Oglala Lakota Tribe Cannabis page. We have documentations of everything that Tade Darnell is involved. And my point is, you guys, tribal members, your name will be written down in history, and I'm serious. I'm not, this is how important and to our tribe this should be, is we have an opportunity. And what if we sign if you guys sign the laws the way they're written and how we rebutted them, you guys, we are going to be poorer. Listen, poorer. I don't know how else to
Well,
say it
let's get
other than it's going to
let's
be
get
worse than we're at
Yeah.
right now. So if you guys
So,
can look at the laws and please, that's all.
so Janelle, or Jenny, I mean, what's
yes.
the next thing on the?
Oh, so that is the end of the slides. What I wanted to do was just kind of introduce the cannabis group, what we wanted to amend in the ordinance. I myself am a business person. I just want to help encourage people to run their own businesses. So I am not invested into cannabis business myself. I just want better business on the reservation, basically. So this is something that our group decided to come together and just show everybody slides. We just want to thank you for being here, and we're grateful that you guys are checking us out. Please do come to our page. We have a lot of information announcements under the announcements tab, but we do appreciate you guys. Thank you very much, and you guys have a good evening.